Green is totally in vogue right now.
Not quite as much as white was a few years ago, but we're getting more and more questions like, what's the best sealant now? Especially and traditionally, what's the best wax for my green car? And with that, I say, grüezi, service, and hello. Thank you for tuning in, and it's great to have you with us because in this video, we want to address exactly this question. From my personal perspective and experience, what is the best wax for green paintwork? Before we start this video, a very, very important note. You will get the optimum, the absolute highest level of gloss, the best result from your paintwork when you have polished it, when you have polished it as defect-free as possible. No wax in this world, and as you can see, I've tried quite a few, will be able to achieve the result that a proper polish can deliver. Yes, on unpolished paint, such waxes will create dramatic changes that can be seen in terms of color revitalization and darkening. And even if we use a gloss meter on these surfaces, we will find that these waxes do have an effect. But again, none of these waxes will be able to achieve the same strong, equally good effect as a polish. So if you're after the absolute maximum shine you can get from your paint, you have to polish your car. And if you then apply wax to a perfectly polished paint surface, to be completely honest, we're only talking about the last 1, 2, maybe 5% that the wax can bring out of the finish. Because once again, you get the best possible result from your paint with a polish. And then we should briefly discuss whether a white or natural wax is the best wax for light silver or white paint, whether a red tinted wax is automatically good for red paint, or whether a black wax is automatically good for black paint. The short and concise answer to this question is no. Most of the paints we have on our modern cars, meaning if we look at the bare metal of our car, first there's a primer on it, then a filler layer, and then comes the color coat. That's what determines the color of our car. And on top of that, there's another layer, the clear coat. And here the secret is already in the name. The clear coat is clear, it's see-through, it's transparent. That means it shouldn't and mustn't matter what color the wax is that we apply to our car's paint. Because all these waxes sit on top of the clear coat, and it's the clear coat that ultimately determines the shine at the end of the day. That means, regardless of whether I have black, green, blue, yellow, rose or pink paint, I'm always just applying the wax to the clear coat. And from this perspective alone, one would actually have to say, no, it doesn't have any effect. But no one has definitively proven that yet. And at the end of the day, it's like this. If I make a wax and don't add any additional color pigments, then these waxes usually have the same color, which is a light brown, a beige. Maybe sometimes it even leans towards yellow. And those are simply the colors of the ingredients contained in these waxes. That means as soon as these waxes have a clear red color or often even a black color, there must be some kind of dye in there. And now comes the crucial point. If I take a wax applicator and dip it in, I can see that there's red color in it. And where is this red color supposed to go? Because when I spread the wax on the paint and then wipe off the residue with a cloth after it has hazed, usually my cloth isn't red. Those red color particles have to be somewhere. Yes, if anything, they are only lying in an ultra-thin layer on your clear coat. Personally, however, I am still convinced that these color particles have to be somewhere and that they settle in an extremely, extremely thin layer over your clear coat. And from this perspective, that's why you could ultimately say that especially red tinted waxes look particularly good on a red car, because in the end, a very, very thin layer of these red color particles does end up on your paintwork. But we're really only talking about absolutely minimal differences here. I'm also personally convinced that we're talking about differences here that probably couldn't actually be measured by any instrument in the world. At the end of the day, we're talking about subjective impressions. And that's why we're always just talking about opinions. What undeniably and definitely has an impact on how a wax looks on your paint are the ingredients, because not all waxes are the same. There are various ingredients that form the basis of such a product. There's Carnauba wax, montan wax, candelilla wax, beeswax, paraffin wax, synthetic waxes, and that's just one component of these waxes. Because in addition, there can also be polymer silicones, ceramic, or graphene ingredients included. Carrier substances like oils also have to be included here. And every wax must also contain a certain proportion of solvents. The ingredients are what ultimately remain on your paintwork at the end of the day. And if you really look at these ingredients scientifically, you'll find that these different waxes or these different oils differ in the way they refract light or in how transparent they are to light. And this property, the ability to refract light in a particular way or not to be completely light transmitting, that's what leads us to talk about things like mirror shine, wet look, candy gloss, and so on. These terms I just threw around are not uniformly defined. Every manufacturer, every end user uses these terms differently. And that's why I won't be throwing these terms around too much in this video, because they're highly subjective anyway. With regard to this video, the most important thing you need to take away from all of this is the following. In this video, I will be talking about my personal recommendations. This is based on my experiences with handling and applying these waxes on different types of paint, and it's based on what my eye sees. That means I will recommend waxes to you that, for example, are especially well suited for warm paint colors like red, yellow, orange, or brown. For example, I will recommend waxes that, in my opinion, are particularly good for black. This can sometimes be related to the color of the waxes themselves. This can, and most likely will, have much more to do with the ingredients of these waxes. But at the end of the day, these are recommendations that I couldn't present to you in such a way, in good conscience, that it would be indisputably proven that these are the best waxes for the respective colors. Once again, these are personal recommendations based on my own experiences. So in this video, the question is, in my opinion, what is possibly the best wax for green paintwork? Just like we did in the video for blue, we have to make distinctions here as well, because there are different shades of green. There's the classic solid dark green, like British racing green, for example. There's also bright neon frog green, which you often see on Lamborghinis, for instance. And there are also green metallic shades. I'm thinking especially of oak green metallic, which you sometimes find on Porsches, and which has actually been appearing more and more frequently lately. And that's why, as you can see, I've divided it into 3 categories again, and we'll talk about which waxes I think are suitable for classic, solid, dark green, which waxes I consider especially suitable for metallic and light green paints, and which ones would work great for all shades of green, whether it's light green, metallic, or solid. So I'd say, let's get started with this video. As you can see, there are a few waxes here that we've already discussed in other videos, and that's simply because whether we're talking about solid black, solid blue, or solid green, especially when it comes to dark colors, we generally want the same thing from waxes, namely that they create a wet look effect by altering the way light refracts on the paint. That means it's not about creating clarity. It's not about highlighting metallic flakes, but rather we want that wet look. And in my view and experience, it's especially the waxes you see here that deliver that Team Eau Congru with its absolutely captivating, wonderful cinnamon scent and super easy application. I've already shown you the Immaculate Reflection Classic Carnauba in several videos now. If it's green, I would actually recommend the Jelly Beans wax. It's simply colored green with the Jelly Beans scent variant. But the Showstopper and Glorious Gloss from Immaculate Reflection would also be extremely well suited. This one smells very pleasantly of caramel, and this one has an absolutely captivating peanut butter scent. But also the Dodo Juice, the good old Dodo Juice Supernatural, would, in my opinion, be a very, very good choice for these dark green solid colors if that's what you have on your car. Then, ODK, as you know by now, is one of my favorite wax manufacturers. Personally, I would especially go for the Glamour, the classic show wax in green coloring with a lemon lime scent. With Wax Junkies, basically the more affordable waxes from ODK, but still very, very high quality, I would go for the cult classic if I were you. If you can still get bouncers, sometimes you still can, I would especially choose the Flawless. And then over here, there are 2 more waxes that I could particularly recommend. Namely, on the one hand, the Scorpios Gold from HB Source, not colored. A wonderful natural wax, an all-rounder wax with incredibly easy application and simply beautifully crafted. Just look at how it's poured into this wax pot here. Not many wax manufacturers can achieve that. And then, above all, there's also the Neowax #1, which in my opinion is one of the best all-rounder waxes available on the market. It has an incredibly beautiful beading effect, reasonable durability, and is super easy to apply all for a very, very attractive price. So you really can't go wrong with this wax, especially for green, dark or solid colors. And then there are a few more waxes here, which we already know well from other videos. In my opinion, these are also excellent choices for green, dark green and solid colors. There's the Chemical Guys Pete's 53, which has that wonderful vanilla coconut scent and is easy to apply. Then there's the R222 100% Carnauba, as well as the R222 Concours Carnauba, and also the SONAX Premium Class Carnauba Care. All four of these are quite similar in that they are very easy to apply and provide solid performance. I would call them all-rounder waxes. The initial water beading is good, the durability is reasonable, but definitely not as long-lasting as, for example, the Neowax #1 we talked about earlier. So they do a lot of things right, but nothing perfectly. That's how I would describe it. And what's a bit of a shame with the R222 and SONAX waxes is that they don't have any additional captivating scent. You do get that with the Chemical Guys though. If you want waxes that really come with an enchanting fragrance, then definitely check out the Natty's Paste Wax, because those really do smell amazing. If we're talking about solid dark green, I would especially recommend Natty's Paste Wax White to you. That is the white tinted version. It has a vanilla coconut-like scent, similar to Pete's 53, or there's Natty's Paste Wax Blue, which is tinted blue and as far as I know has a bubblegum-like fragrance. Both would be really great waxes. But I've also shown you the Scholl Premium Vintage Wax in several videos already. It's an absolutely underrated wax. Far too unknown for how good it actually is. It has a chocolate-like scent. This one is more of a, I would say, show wax. Not as durable, not as hydrophobic, but incredibly easy to apply with that captivating scent as well. The Native from Vonix doesn't have any added fragrance and isn't colored either. That's really what I personally consider a natural wax. Actually, it just occurred to me that it should be placed here because it's very, very, very similar to the waxes we just talked about earlier. And funnily enough, the Pete's 53 is more similar to the Natty's Paste Wax. So now you know about that. Soft 99, as always, offers an outstanding price-performance ratio, especially because they are very hydrophobic and very durable. The Kiwami are also the authentic premium. In my opinion, both would be very, very, very good choices for dark green uni. And then we also have the Fireball waxes. I'll say it again here and in this video. Before I would get any wax from Swissvax in this video, by the way, there won't be any Swissvax included because I do think that other waxes work a bit better on dark green. We have a few Zymöl again, but before I would get a wax from those two brands, which are insanely expensive, I'd rather get something from Fireball. They also cost a lot, but I think you get a bit more in terms of performance and just as easy, if not even easier application. With Fireball, personally, I would go for dunkelgrün uni, the butter wax, the Brazil wax, or even the Choco Wax Milky Cream. And all of these waxes would be a very, very good choice for dunkelgrün uni. And with that, we'll now move on to green metallic and light green. And these are the waxes that are lined up here in this row. We start again with Dodo Juice for green metallic, but also especially for light green. In my opinion, you'll find that Diamond White or Light Fantastic both work really, really well. But also, if you can still get it, since it was a collector's item, the double wax. Maybe some of you still remember my video series with the Land Rover Defender. At the end, I applied it to that green paint, metallic green paint, and in my opinion, it worked absolutely fantastically. It was a two-layer wax system consisting of a synthetic and a natural wax, and it just worked really, really well. From my perspective, that would also be a good option that I can genuinely and effectively recommend to you based on my own experience. With Angel Wax for green metallic and light green, I would personally go with either Halo or Fifth Element. And if you want to get something from Bouncers and are able to, because as I've mentioned before, unfortunately they have now stopped production, they're becoming harder and harder to find. Especially for metallic finishes, I would personally go for Check the Flag. A natural wax that really emphasizes the metallic flakes, but basically also the vanilla ice and the sherbet fizz in my opinion. Especially those two would be excellent choices for light green paints. And last but not least, you already know this one as well, the cinnamon glaze, which was originally made mainly for Porsche paints, but in my opinion, it also works extremely well on metallic finishes, and especially within the Zymöl range, I would personally always go with the glaze when it comes to metallics. And personally, I also think that the waxes here are a very, very good choice, especially for green metallic and light green paints. The Gaillon Q2 wax. The ODK Echo, which you also know, we've already talked about that one several times now as well. In my opinion, it truly, genuinely and honestly is a fantastic wax for all light and all metallic colors. I love this one. Then from Wax Junkies, which we haven't mentioned yet, the Bead Raver, but you'll see why in a moment. It's colored green, especially green and especially light and metallic green. More so than with any other paint color, I personally am convinced that it really does make a difference whether the waxes are colored green or something else. So that would be my recommendation here for the Wax Junkies. Then there's also the Vonix blend. There's really not much to say about it. It's a good ceramic, I think, hybrid wax, but otherwise it doesn't offer anything particularly special. It's not colored, doesn't have any special scent, but it's a good choice and honestly doesn't cost that much either. Soft 99 Fuso coat, I would personally go for the light version, meaning the one for light colored paint. That's Neowax number 2. If you can still get it, I would choose the white edition here. And with Fireball, in my opinion, there are also some very, very good options, such as the Liberty and the Thailand Wax, especially when it comes to metallic green and light green. And now let's talk about waxes that, in my opinion, are very, very well suited for all shades of green. Although at this point in the video, I should mention again that all of the waxes mentioned would basically be suitable for all shades of green and even for more paint colors. These videos are really more about what my personal recommendations are. Dodo Juice Rainforest Rub, actually also colored green with a very, very pleasant, sweet watermelon scent. The Sienna Gloss Fantastics Hybrid Wax, colored green with a strawberry-like scent. Dodo Juice Shinecraft, not really well actually, yes, it's a bit colored, kind of brownish with a coffee scent. I personally like it a lot, but I have to say it's not everyone's cup of tea. With ODK, I think the Revere is a very good choice, but it's also expensive. The same goes for the Rock from Scholl Concepts. This one is also colored, but in my opinion, it works extremely well on green and all shades of green, in fact. And then there's the somewhat newer Green Shield Wax from Monkey Wax, which is a really, really great hybrid wax. We already introduced it to you in a separate video. And finally, we have a few more waxes here that, in my view, are very well suited for all shades of green. Unfortunately, as I've mentioned in several videos before, it's no longer available on the Market Wax Planet. If you can still get it, the Exotica would, in my opinion, be a really, really nice hybrid wax for green paint colors, no matter which shade. The same goes for the Fireball Show Car Wax Alien Blood. They're always a bit tricky to get out of their packaging, but I'll do it for you now, because Alien Blood, you might already guess what color it could be. A really, really, really good choice for green paint. And of all the Fireball waxes I've introduced and mentioned in this video, they're all great. They're all fantastic. Any of them would be a good choice. But if I were forced to choose for a green paint, then I would, sorry for the background noise, I'm trying to pack this up again, I would most likely go with Alien Blood. Then, for a lot of wax for little money, there's Soft 99 Mirror Shine, also one of the simplest wax in the Soft 99 range, the most hassle-free. Here, if I were you, I would go for the light one. I would always choose the light one, even for dark green. With dark green, it's already a dark color, and unlike black or blue, where we actually tend to want it to get even darker, I personally think green looks too dark if it gets any darker. That's why I would personally always go with the light one here. The Megias Ultimate Paste Wax and the Tack Wax 2 would also be a very good choice in my opinion, regardless of what shade of green your car has. And I also personally think that the Pitesalz Classic Wax works very, very well on green. And then here from England, from Blackmagic Detail, the Nemesis. Green. Then there's the Morpheus. Green. I think the Morpheus is the one in the Blackmagic detail range with the highest Carnauba content. I think, though, I'm not 100% sure. Then there's the Infinity Wax Primo, which we've mentioned several times now. It's a wax that really excels in the finish, and in my opinion, that would also be a great choice for green paintwork. And then, regardless of whether we have dark green, metallic green, or light green, there's the Beadmeister Hybrid from HP Source. It's one of my favorite wax manufacturers anyway. They can't be left out of any video. But honestly, in my opinion, that really, truly is a fantastic choice for green paint colors. And with that, we've now covered the waxes as well. And then, as I do at the end of each of these videos about waxes for specific paint colors, I'll show you a condensed selection of waxes that I would limit myself to if I were forced to choose. And those would mainly be the following waxes. When we're talking about solid dark green, there's the Soft 99 Premium Authentic, the Shawl Premium Vintage Wax, the ODK Glamour, and the Dodo Juice Supernatural. If you were to force me to pick just one here, I think it would be the ODK Glamour. If we're talking about metallic green, I'd go with either the Zymöl Glazur or the ODK Echo. I can't, don't want to, and won't choose between the two. They're both fantastic. And if you want a wax recommendation for green, no matter what shade of green where you don't have to think twice, then go for the Monkey Wax Green Shield, the Fireball Show Car Wax Alien Blood, the Stiena Gloss Fantastisk, the Rainforest Drop from Dodo Juice, or the Beadmeister Hybrid from HP Source. And those aren't wormy personal wax recommendations for you if you have a green car. If you found the video helpful, informative, exciting, or interesting, feel free to give us a thumbs up. Also, support the channel with a free subscription and tune in for the next video. Goodbye.